Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith, Silent Bob, and all those terrible Jay and Silent Bob type pictures, man. You're listening to Drop the Mic, the only podcast that I listen to that I'm not a part of. Every podcast I listen to, I usually talk on it, but not fucking Drop the Mic. That's where I'm like, let me hear what the boys have to say. And now, we drop the mic.
Welcome back to our Humble San Diego podcast. We're your hosts, Wesley Swanson and Chris Pawlak, and this is the Best of 2023 episode where we will be discussing all of the coolest films of the year that we've seen so far.
And now for a special news report, brought to you by Drop the Mic.
There's not a whole lot of news to get going. But I did see a death notice come in today. Just want to give him a shout out, and that is Tom Wilkinson. And we were talking last week about Eyes Wide Shut and Todd Field and the movie that he directed called In the Bedroom, which Wilkinson is in with Sissy Spacek, both of whom are excellent in the film. I think both of whom had Academy Award nominations for it. Check that out. You and I were talking right before air that you had The Dark Knight on in the background. And Wilkinson is Carmine Falcone in Batman Begins in the first movie. No, I'm not sure what the cause of death is. I don't see anything listed.
Probably too early.
Probably. I believe he was 79 years old. 75, excuse me. 75 years old. But let me shout out some of his other credits beyond In the Bedroom and Batman Begins. We must have spoke about Michael Clayton last week because Sidney Pollack is in it.
Yeah, we did.
Wilkinson is fantastic in Michael Clayton. Full Monty was kind of where some people might have seen him in the United States for the first time. What else? Grand Budapest Hotel, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Selma, Rush. Oh, he's the villain in Rush Hour. That's right. He's got a lot more credits beyond Selma, but I think Selma might be the last big movie that I recognize on this list as what he was in. He was LBJ in Selma, Ava DuVernay's movie, which apparently she has a new one coming out that's fantastic that I can't wait to see, called Origin. But I don't think that goes wide until sometime next month. But yeah, shout out to Tom Wilkinson, passed away. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. He's the IMF secretary. I believe he is uncredited in that. Check out his work. Good actor, popping up in some really great movies. And he passed away, 75 years old. That's the only news that I have for you.
R.I.P. All right, my one piece of news, I'm not sure if you knew this yet or not, but the plagued project of the next Scream installment, which I believe is supposed to be Scream 7, just lost its director. So Christopher Landon had been attached to direct the newest sequel, and I'm assuming in light of all of this controversy that's been happening over the last couple weeks, he bowed out and left. So now there is no leads and no director for this film.
No. Yeah, they lost both their main actresses. And my guess is that's going to be a major retooling of the script.
Yeah.
And, that's probably going to be super stressful. I don't know if the studio is still trying to stick with, we need to get this movie out by this date. Even with, losing your leads. and having to retool everything. So I can see that, you know what, I signed on to do this, and if this isn't happening anymore, then I'd rather not be a part of it or not put myself through it.
Yep. I think at this point, Paramount should just shelve this idea, you know?
I 100% agree. It sounds like what they were going to try to do was back up the Brinks truck to Nev Campbell's house and try to woo her back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if she really wants to do it, she could probably demand a huge payday out of them.
It's weird because I was already kind of let down when I heard that Radio Silence was stepping away to do their like Universal Monsters movie. Because it's like, you guys should, even if they were to wait a couple years, you guys should come back and finish your trilogy so that they all feel the same, and we don't have this kind of like new Star Wars problem where, you know, they're giving these movies to different directors, so each of them don't feel connected the way that they should.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Just shelve it already, I guess.
Yeah, or wait for Radio Silence to do their thing and then come on back.
And now it's time for the weekly recommendations.
Let's move on to weekly recommendations. I know you got a big one.
I mean, it's that time of the year. My fans know what I'm going to recommend. But I, as always, check out the Sci-Fi Channel's New Year's Twilight Zone marathon.
Yes.
It's actually on right now. We're recording this on the 30th because we had to bump the show a couple of days. But it's actually on right now. It'll be on through at least the 1st into the 2nd. So I highly recommend it if you're not doing anything. If you're an old like me and you don't give a shit about going out and partying and getting drunk, stay home, watch The Twilight Zone. It's well worth it. It's one of the best television shows ever. And at some point in time, we're going to sit down and we're going to do an Admiral's Cove episode, because I know that Vic is a huge fan of that show as well.
Yes.
And one of the last times I ran into him and talked with him, he was like, dude, we should sit down and talk Twilight Zone. And I told him I would love to do that. So look for an Admiral's Cove episode in the future where we do that.
Hell yeah.
But that's the only one I have. Like you said, the show is mainly going to be nothing but recommendations.
It is. Yeah. So let's just move on into our favorite films of this year. Do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
You start, but I'll preface this by saying kind of a weak year in film.
I'm glad that you said that, because going through the list of everything, I was like, wow, I'm struggling to pick things that I think I want to talk about, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a handful of movies that I love. I have more than enough to talk about. But at the same time, there wasn't more than at least one movie on my list for sure that just completely floored me. You know, I had some movies I really fucking loved, but there wasn't like last year where there was a few where I was like, whoa, that was so good. And this year was kind of lacking in that. I haven't felt that it was a very strong year.
I can agree, but we did have, what are the kids calling it, Barbenheimer earlier this year.
Hey, both those movies are on my list. I really fucking love the both of them, so we're going to talk about those for sure.
Okay, I'll kick it off with a smaller picture that probably nobody saw but me. It's called God is a Bullet, with Mika Monroe, Jamie Foxx. Very, very good little tight revenge thriller. It's kind of long. I feel like movies are getting more generous with their runtimes now, which if your story is good enough, then I don't mind. You know, I'm not the type of person that wants to go to the movies and then the experience is over too fast. I want to spend a good chunk of time there because that's my solace space, I guess.
Well, if I've said this before, please stop me. There's a very famous quote by Roger Ebert that says, "A good movie is never long enough, and a bad movie is always way too long." I'm paraphrasing, but that's what Ebert said.
There you go.
So if you can justify the runtime, then by all means. If you're 3 hours just for the fuck of it, maybe that's not such a good thing. One of the movies on the list of the only one that I was not really into,
Okay.
I think did not need to be as long as it was, and I struggled to get through it. But go. I don't want to steal your thunder here. Keep talking about God's a Bullet, which is on my list. I remember you recommended it to me.
It was it was a struggle to go see this in the theater because like they weren't, for some reason, I don't know what that reason may be, but not a lot of places were playing it. It wasn't marketed well. But man, the movie is so good, especially if you like that genre. It's very kind of rule breaking and dangerous, and the effects are good. Great squib work. It's like I want to say like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I'm looking at the IMDb right now. 2 hours 36 minutes.
Yeah, it's got pretty dynamite cast. And I just love dark stuff like that for some reason. But Mika Monroe, everything I've seen her in since what is it? It Follows. I think that she's a great actress, a scene stealer, and I can't wait until I think it's called They Follow now, which is going to be a follow.
The sequel.
Yeah,
I just hope that it's good. I kind of worried that I thought that the first one kind of tells a complete story, even if it ends ambiguously.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little
skeptical.
But hopefully it's solid.
She is coming back for that, so I mean that could be a win.
That's good.
Yeah.
This is your regular reminder to watch The Guest if you haven't seen The Guest.
So good. Such an underrated movie.
It's great.
If you like revenge films, please check out God is a Bullet because it is awesome. I bought it digitally because it was like only $12 and I was all shit. I want to watch this again at home. So I just bought it. And the gang, because it's about, basically the story is about this guy who's newly divorced, right, gets his daughter abducted by this kind of gang, and he gets tired of getting the runaround from the cops and tries to take the law into his own hands and find out where his daughter has been trafficked to, and it leads him to this kind of insane kind of satanic cult in so many words. And I'm assuming everybody out there can tell where the story is going to go from there,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't say enough good words about it. It got shit on by a lot of critics. Doesn't have a great Rotten score, but don't be fooled by that. Not everybody tells the truth with reviews, I guess.
All right. It's on, like I said, it's on my list, and based on your recommendation, I'll try to make it a point to catch it sooner rather than later. And
then let me know what you think and if I'm crazy and if it actually sucks, because that'd be funny.
I will. I didn't let you know what my thoughts were on some other films that I just watched in order to catch up for this episode.
Okay.
Because I figured we would get into it on the show.
Yeah, so it's organic. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so it's a bit organic. You did ask me how I thought about one movie yesterday, and I told you, and we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I did not let you know what I thought about those movies because we'll talk about them tonight. But since it'll be a long time before we do the show again, I'll let you know as soon as I see God as a Bullet and what I think of it.
Right. Sounds good. We will turn it over to you.
Well, the movie that you asked me if I had seen last night was Ferrari. Michael Mann. I really enjoyed it. I think that Adam Driver is great in it, as is Penelope Cruz, who's phenomenal. The racing scenes are awesome. It was, I mean, as such a huge Michael Mann fan, and you know this, I was super excited for it. It was nice seeing him return after almost a decade not making a film, and thought the Ferrari was awesome. He kind of does the same thing with that he does with Ali, where he doesn't make it just like a complete biopic. He just focuses on like this one period of time. So it's not all over the place. It doesn't drag on. It's mainly focused on this one chunk of time when Ferrari wasn't doing so well, when they thought that they might need to team up with someone else, like have a partner, either with Ford, with Fiat. Really enjoyed it. Maybe I'm biased because of the Michael Mann fandom, but it looks like it was getting good reviews, so I'm not alone. But check out Ferrari.
How am I going to follow this up? Let's talk a little bit about Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
Our man Scorsese's release for this year. Very harrowing true story. Not for the what's
The faint of heart.
Yeah, thank you for reading my mind. Crazy stuff. Kind of infuriating as the story goes on, but I think it was a story that needed to be told, and it was awesome to get like a big director who wanted to tackle some kind of controversial content such as this, and I thought all the main players were amazing. You know,
Agree. I told you before, it kind of bums me out that Gladstone is absent.
Yeah.
From a big chunk of the middle of the film. You know why.
Yeah.
If you've seen it or if you're familiar with the story. But I was bummed that she was absent, but that's because she's so incredible in the film. And really, really anchors that film completely. I hope she gets more recognition come award season for it. I know that everyone's been talking, that all the critics have been talking about Certain Women.
Yes.
From, I don't know, what, 5-6 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a movie I still need to see. I had a chance to see it, and I was unable to when it was out, and I really kick myself for that now. I should go and seek that movie out and finally get around to watching it. The Gladstone's in it, and everyone was talking that, oh yeah, I think she's good in this, like you should go watch Certain Women. But because I haven't seen it, I will highly recommend her role in Killers of the Flower Moon because I think she's fantastic.
Absolutely. She's definitely the through line in all of this, since DiCaprio plays a kind of moron character. Not saying that he's not good. Of course, he's always
he's very good in the film. It's just it's a little bit different of a role for him because he's obviously not a good person.
Yep.
He thinks he probably is, but he gets seduced by the dark side, so to speak. But yeah, he's not the most brilliant of people. He's manipulated by his uncle, who is De Niro, who also is fantastic in the movie.
Did you want to speak on? I know when you finally got to see it in the theater, you thought that it could have been trimmed a little bit. Did you want to talk about
Yeah,
that?
I can't tell you what should have been dropped per se.
Mm-hmm.
I was just, I mean, we spoke some years ago. Jesus, is it now like 4 years ago that we were talking The Irishman when that came out? Has it been that long?
That's 2018, right?
Fuck, man. The COVID pandemic just completely erased all concept of time. I can't believe it's been that long. But when we spoke The Irishman, I know that that's a long movie as well. It's just a few minutes longer than what Killers of the Flower Moon was, but I was never aware of the length of The Irishman while I was watching it. With Killers of the Flower Moon, there was a couple spots where I was like, "Oh, this is dragging a bit."
Mm-hmm.
So I after watching Killers of the Flower Moon, thought, you know what? It's a great film. I do think it probably could use a little bit of a trim, even if it's just like 10 minutes.
Okay.
But that in no way made it an unwatchable film for me. As we spoke a couple months ago when we did, not a couple months ago, like just last month, when we did Bringing Out the Dead, he's someone who has a very solid track record. Even a film that's as kind of challenging and as long as Killers of the Flower Moon is by no means a bad movie.
Yeah. It's also for anybody who's listening to this and hasn't seen it yet, it is available to rent and to purchase digitally right now.
If you have an Apple subscription, I think you can watch it for free.
There you go.
Because it is an Apple film. But yeah, I highly recommend the book, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yes.
You get more of the investigation as well. That's a book I read just before the movie came out. And shout out Brendan Fraser, who's in a couple of scenes and has like kind of like an over the top acting moment in it, but that was a little divisive. But I know that most people loved it. And it was awesome seeing him in that.
Yeah, he's been making a slow comeback recently, so hopefully he can keep some traction up.
And can I spoil like another cameo I had no idea about until I was watching it?
Is it the end or no?
One of the actors in the end of the film, or in the climax during the trial,
Oh, okay.
Lithgow.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, like Lithgow's in that? That's awesome. I had no idea.
So what we're trying to say, everybody, is check out Killers of the Flower Moon if you have the stomach for that.
Yes. Definitely watch it. And the cinematography is beautiful. The score, the last score by Robbie Robertson is fantastic. Let's talk Bottom. A movie that I missed in the theaters, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I missed that movie in the theaters because I came at an extremely busy time. But was able to watch it on demand. Absolutely loved it. Hilarious film. I know I've recommended it before, but I was a big fan of the first film from Emma Seligman,
Mm-hmm.
who did Shiva Baby, which is a really great movie with Rachel Sennett, who's in Bottoms, where she's at a funeral, a Shiva, and trying to avoid like her ex-girlfriend, and there's like one of the professors that she's sleeping with is there, so it's like a really awkward film, but Sennett's great in it, and they reteam for Bottoms, which I think Sennett co-wrote as well, and super fucking funny movie about these two girls that start a fight club so that they can meet other girls,
Mm-hmm.
and just I had a fucking blast with it. Senate and Io Debris, who fans of The Bear would know her. They play the two leads. It's so fucking funny. And I'm reading today that like one of my favorite scenes in the beginning where they're talking, where Io Debris is telling Senate like I can't meet this girl, I can't do this, so I'm gonna end up like marrying this guy who's closeted, and then we're gonna both be closeted, and he's gonna become like a preacher or a pastor or something, and you know he's gonna be doing this, and our kids are gonna grow up to hate us. I read that whole scene at the beginning with her going on this like meltdown in the car and in the parking lot was ad lib.
That's all ad lib?
That's what I read. But it's great because it's such a fucking funny scene. She has like this complete meltdown about if she doesn't meet this girl or doesn't get her chance at love with this girl, this is what's going to happen to her. And her life's going to be ruined, and her kids' lives are going to be ruined. And she begs Senate, will you please come to visit us on Sundays? And Senate just like has this like blank look on her face, like she doesn't know how to process everything that she's saying just yet because it's just coming so hard and so fast. But it's that scene and the scene where they're in the like the little, I don't know what you call it, trust circle in the gym, and she's talking about juvie because there's this rumor that they went to juvie, and that's why they're all tough.
Mm-hmm.
And she has this whole monologue about what happened to them in juvie. It's all made up, but it's so convincing, and how like they were forced to fight, and how she was forced to like stab people, and they were betting on them. It's so fucking funny. The ending is so crazy and over the top, violent. That it's super surreal. And shout out to Marshawn Lynch, who's fucking hilarious in the movie. I don't know if he's had other acting roles besides he was in like the third season of Westworld and was pretty solid in that too. But I don't know if he's been in any other stuff besides Westworld and this, but he's so fucking funny in this movie. But I keep talking about it. What were your thoughts on Bottoms? Because I know that you got a chance to see it in the theater.
Yeah, I went to the theater, checked it out, and I thought I had a blast. It feels like a very much like an alternative to Mean Girls.
Mm-hmm.
The way that it's shot and the humor and how it's very of the time. And of course, when I read that synopsis of them like starting a fight club, I was like, I'm in. This is going to be brilliant. And it was. And like you said, that conclusion, it just gets nuttier and nuttier. The execution of it is awesome. Io Debris, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
She is awesome in this. Big fan of her work so far. And I don't know, did this make money? I know it opened wide eventually, right?
Let's see. Budget was 11. It made 12, so it kind of broke even.
Yeah.
And I've seen 3 movies this year that I thought were funny as all hell, and this is one of them.
Check it out, people. If you haven't yet, seek it out. It should be available to rent or go pick it up.
It's a pretty funny high school movie. It's a pretty funny coming of age movie. Like you said, it's kind of like an alternative to Mean Girls.
Check out Bottoms. All right, I'm going to follow yours up with another coming of age film. This one is animated. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm going to say. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. This movie
Also starring Io Debris.
Yeah.
I believe she's April O'Neil.
She is, and she's so good.
Okay.
So good. You haven't seen this yet?
Haven't seen it, and I don't mean to cut you off. We just talked.
Yeah.
Io Debris. I just wanted to shout her out because I know that she's in that, right?
She is. Along with a crazy cast, including Ice Cube, Jackie Chan, John Cena, Post Malone, Rose Byrne, Paul Rudd, of course.
Should mention it's got a Reznor and Ross score.
Yes. And it's a very good score, too.
I should listen to that. I haven't checked it out yet.
It's awesome. If you checked out their score for Soul, it's kind of like that.
Okay.
And then the existing music for that movie is amazing. Very much like 90s boom bap. If you're into that, I know you are.
Mm-hmm.
The kids, they cast actual teenagers to play the turtles for the very first time, which is crazy. But they did such a good job. Their chemistry is off the wall. Like the turtles, what would you say that? Not Michael. I guess Michael Bay produced them, but he didn't direct it. But that first one, you took us to see that, and the movie's like whatever, but the camaraderie between the turtles was good and kind of keeps you as invested as you can into something like that. And this, the brotherhood between the turtles and this one just shits all over those two other movies. Like this is maybe the best I've seen the turtles as far as the way that they interact with each other, if that makes sense. I know I'm not saying it's the best movie, but the best interactions, the way that I feel like the turtles are supposed to be it's pretty great in this, and that's coming from somebody who's a lifelong Turtles fan.
Yeah.
It's a great.
Yeah, I heard nothing but good things about it. I heard that the voice cast was pretty phenomenal. I found out a little bit later that it had a Reznor Ross score.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's cool.
Those guys are everywhere.
Hey, man, again, I will shout out their score for Empire of Light from last year, which was one of the most beautiful film scores I heard last year. Probably was my favorite score of that year. And I listened to it quite a bit since, and it's so beautiful. It's such a wonderful score. Something that does not sound at all like a lot of their previous scores. So I would like to see the Turtles movie. Like I said, I know it was recommended by a lot of people. You especially, because I know you've always been a big fan.
Yeah, and it's it's always scary. Just like to make a comparison, like when they try to reboot Child's Play, I was very concerned because I love those first three movies, and this is the Turtles mean a lot to a lot of people, not just me. So when they're trying to, and it was Seth Rogen or whatever, but when somebody's trying to bring this property back, you want to make sure that it's done with respect to the source material, and I think that Mutant Mayhem did a great job of that.
Put that on my list as well. Is that streaming anywhere? Is that available anywhere yet?
I'm sure you don't have it, but I think it's streaming on Paramount Plus right now.
Yeah, I don't have Paramount Plus. Maybe I'll get lucky and it'll pop up elsewhere. It's on Prime Video for rent, although it's still like $6.
Okay.
The rent, so I'll keep an eye out for it. Eventually, it'll end up elsewhere.
Yeah.
If it's a Paramount property, it's very possible it will end up on Showtime at some point. Well, let's stick with Reznor and Ross and shout out a movie that they scored that I was wondering if I was the only one that actually liked it, and that's The Killer, David Fincher's movie.
Oh, yes.
Because I had read some of the reviews and some other people were talking about it, and it's like, yeah, it's not good at all, and it's so slow. But I really dug it. I thought that Fassbender was really good in it. It obviously has a Reznor Ross score because they've scored every Fincher film since The Social Network. But I liked it. I like how it was broken up into those chapters as he goes after the people after his botched hit. There's some really great action scenes in it.
There is. One might be like possibly the best. In my opinion, maybe one of the best of the year.
You're talking that fight scene?
Yeah, in the house.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. Very brutal fight scene. It kind of reminded me of Atomic Blonde.
Absolutely, yes.
Where it wasn't one take, but it was also, this is a brutal fight scene. This seems exhausting.
Yeah, going through walls and tables and showers and fucking you name it. It happens. Yeah. And it was so cool because I guess Fassbender had he came out of retirement for this. He hadn't done anything. I believe if my memory serves correctly, he stopped acting to pursue a career as a race car driver or some shit like that.
Seriously?
Yeah. And he came back to do this for Fincher, and it feels like no time has passed. I'm on board with you as far as liking this movie. I liked it a lot. I could see how it's not for everybody.
No, I mean it's not. It's kind of like Drive was, where there's not a ton of action.
Yeah.
In it, it's more of a like that slow burn.
Yeah.
And I've really enjoyed it.
Great performances all around, and I was able to look past. I'm sure you might know this about me, but I'm really not a big Smiths fan, especially Morrissey fan at all. And Fassbender's character in this is for some reason obsessed with the Smiths, and exclusively listens to them through the entire movie.
No, I'm with you there. Smiths have some good tunes. Morrissey can fuck off. But yeah, it's got a good soundtrack. And then the Reznor Ross score on top of that is good. Shout out to Tilda Swinton, who is so fucking good in her one scene.
Yes, she is.
That she shares with Fassbender. But I mean, Fincher is another director that took quite a while in between films. And then, a few years ago had Mank. And then I guess making the type of movies he does, like I guess studios aren't interested in those anymore. So that's why he's worked with Netflix the last 2 times.
Is that the reason?
I had heard him remark that a while back, saying that the types of movies that he makes, studios weren't really gambling on anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I know that, Social Network and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Gone Girl were all pretty sizable hits. But I guess, the model changed, and if it wasn't a franchise or existing IP, they were very reluctant to take a chance on it. And I think that's why he's gone with Netflix.
Bring back Mindhunter, Mr. Fincher. This is our plug. This is our cue. Drop it. But that's sad. You would think Fincher should have some pull, like.
I mean, he's a major director, right?
He is. He's done some bangers. Another guy who has a very efficient filmography.
Yeah. So, I mean, everyone wants to talk about Alien 3, but I told you I have a soft spot for that because it's the first one I saw in the theater. But if his first movie is his weakest, that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, that's saying something.
Yeah. So, I put The Killer up there as one of my favorite films of the year. Again, sounds like you and I might be 2 of the only people that enjoyed the movie.
I think just with the title like the killer, these detractors are just went in with different expectations,
Yeah.
They thought it was going to be like that Hemsworth movie that's on Netflix. Why am I drawing? I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, the Extraction.
Yeah, that's and you know, for what it's worth, those action scenes are great. But I think that's people were probably expecting something more akin to that, and you know, and it was more of an artsy take on an assassin tale that was, I believe, adapted from an anime in the first place. Did you know
I
that?
believe you're right. Yes. Yeah, it was. It was an adaptation.
But check it out on Netflix. It's very good.
It does have a great supporting cast. I mean, the guy who's the lawyer, Charles Parnell, is very good in it.
Mm-hmm.
As is Arliss Howard, who is the client, who you know, he wraps up his business with at the end. But again, Tilda Swinton blows me away most of the times I see her in a film, and she is fantastic in her scene in this.
She's another one that just rarely misses, you know?
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Michael Clayton, she's so fucking good in Michael Clayton. So great in her work with Wes Anderson. Susie always laughed at me whenever we watch Moonrise Kingdom, because I got such a kick out of, she doesn't have an official name in that movie. It's just Social Services. And every time like someone would say, like, refer to her as Social Services, I would just giggle, because I just for some reason found it funny. And Susie's like, it's not that funny. We would just laugh every time they said Social Services. I was like, yeah, because she doesn't have a name. They just call her Social Services. Moving on, your turn.
Okay. I wanted to shout out an A24 film by Sofia Coppola. Let's talk a little bit about Priscilla.
One that I just missed, unfortunately.
Well, at least you'll have something to look forward to. I hope you dig it when you do see it. I thought it was a brilliant film. I've been
a huge fan of her work.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a movie from her that I disliked so far.
Okay.
So I am excited to see it.
I have a feeling you'll like it. Just based on the sheer, like, the balls that it took to kind of tell the story, and, you know, to kind of be disowned by, you know, Graceland and all the kind of controversy that happened with this movie coming out. It's very good. It stars Kaylee Spaney as Priscilla Presley, and then Jacob Elordi, who is this kind of rising star right now as well, as Elvis Presley. Elordi does a great impression of Elvis. Of course, he does not look. To me, he doesn't look like Elvis. But when I recommended this film on the show after I saw it, I made the comparison of, you know, Joaquin Phoenix doesn't really look like Johnny Cash, but that movie Walk the Line fucking rules. It's a good movie. You know, he bodied that role, and I feel like that's what Elordi did.
But that's what you're supposed to do. No one looks exactly like, you know, the person that they're portraying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can put prosthetics or color their hair or something, but no one's going to look like that. You have to embody the character or the real life person that you're portraying.
Yeah.
Is Elordi better or worse than Austin Butler?
I would pick. I've been asked this before, and I would say Elordi. I prefer Elordi.
Okay.
Because it's less. It's less romanticizing Elvis Presley, and I feel like Elvis kind of like sucks off. Oh, like, God damn it. Baz Luhrmann is sucking off Elvis in that movie a lot. You know, like he is having this kind of, maybe it's unconscious, maybe it's not unconscious bias or towards him as a celebrity. And what I loved and appreciated about Priscilla is it strips that away, and it tells this story from the eyes of Priscilla, with no like, oh, you should be on this side, or you should be on this side. It's just literally they're giving you this like these bits of their fragments of these two's life and their turbulent relationship, and it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I like that a lot. And then it has like this very great, unexpected pop soundtrack, the way that Coppola usually does, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it meshes well. It meshes so well with the visuals. It is adapted from Priscilla Presley's book, and I know she was very involved in the production, which is probably
That book is Elvis and Me, right?
yes, it's Elvis and Me from 1985.
My mother was a huge Elvis fan. I believe she had that book somewhere. I wonder if it's still in the house somewhere.
Oh, nice.
But they did make a miniseries out of that in the mid to late '80s sometime.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen that by chance?
Maybe. I don't remember. It's so long ago. But I do remember that book being in my house at some point in time because my mom had read it.
I was a big champion of this film. I don't think I think this is another movie that's unfortunately broke even right now. Of course, it is A24. I don't think they're looking to break the box office at any point, but check this movie out if you haven't already, or if you're on the fence about it. Trust me, I believe that it's worth your time.
Oh yeah, you're right. It just broke even apparently.
Which is crazy to me because I went the opening weekend and to my surprise the place was full. I think I had to wait for the showing after because the showing I was trying to go to was completely sold out.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you go?
Did
you go to Grossmont? Or
we went to Fashion. Went to Fashion. That was sold out, and then so I was like, okay, let's just catch the next one at Grossmont, which they had seats, but it was pretty full.
Mm-hmm.
Like impressive for I think I even said it out loud. Like I didn't think anyone was going to be so excited for this. But I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Hey, it got some people to watch it. That's good. I mean, keep Sofia Coppola working, and we should shout out Kaylee Spaney.
Yes,
because she's a good actress. She's going to be in the next Alien movie, the Fede Alvarez movie. So I have hopes that that's going to be solid.
We're due for a good one, right? I hope this one's Romulus, I think it's called, right?
Yep. And I do want to shout out, she was in that show Debs on FX.
Uh-huh.
Which I don't know if you've ever watched that.
I'm aware of it, yes.
It's a good show. I recommend it. But the guy who did it, Alex Garland, who is a good sci-fi writer turned director, made Ex Machina, made Annihilation, and has a new movie coming out in the spring called Civil War, which looks really fucking good. I don't know if you've seen that trailer yet.
I did. I just recently saw it, yeah.
Yeah. I'm stoked. I really enjoy that guy's work, so I'm really looking forward to it, even though it's kind of looking like we're almost headed in that direction in real life too. So I hope it's not going to scare the shit out of me when I watch it, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Did he do Men, or is that
he did do Men?
Okay,
which is kind of a challenge.
Okay,
I didn't hate it, but I also was not floored by it, especially compared to, Ex Machina and Annihilation, which are two of the best sci-fi films of the last decade. And Men plays like more of a horror film, but Jessie Buckley is very good in it. I do want to recommend her and her performance at least. How about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
Ooh, thank you for bringing that up. That was one that I forgot. But yes, definitely top tier.
Not a huge comic book movie guy, especially as of late. They seem to be getting just worse and worse. But the Guardians of the Galaxy movies I'll always check out because I really enjoyed uh, their vibe and their kind of goofy humor. This one, while not being as funny as the previous two, it's actually a lot darker than the previous two, but it's also a lot more mature.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really enjoyed it. This was the first movie I had seen in the theater since like Christmas of last year. I just had a busy spring, and then I was ill with the shingles. So I was out of commission for a couple weeks, and this was the first movie I had seen in almost 6 months, actually in the theater. So I was really excited to go and watch it. Saw it, absolutely loved it. As usual, it has a killer soundtrack and some great scenes in it. Some really funny scenes. An incredible like one take action scene in the hallway where everyone is fighting. Granted, it's not actually one take. It's all stitched together, but it looks like one take. But I really liked it. Not a movie I would recommend for kids, just because of the darker subject matter in it. Specifically like animal torture.
Yeah.
But has some real poignant scenes in it that really kind of tug at the heartstrings, and I really enjoyed it a lot. Should have, if I had had more time, wanted to rewatch it. It should be on Disney right now. But this was one that I would recommend. This is one of my favorites of the year.
Yeah.
It has a really fucking funny scene with like where an F-bomb is dropped, where they're on the weird animal planet, but everything is kind of like Earth. And they get into a car and they're trying to drive away, and the door is locked and Nebula can't get in. And Peter's explaining to her like how to open up the door. Pull up on this, and she's like tugging on the door handle at the same time he's trying to unlock the door, and he's telling her, hey, don't do this, do this. And he finally gets it unlocked, and it's like, oh, what do I do next? And he's like, open the fucking door. And I really laughed at that. I know it was like, a big scene that everyone was talking about because it was the first time they had the like an F-bomb in there in a Marvel film. But I thought it was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, James Gunn is great at what he does. This was a great send off for all of these characters. I feel like Rocket Raccoon is very much the focal point in this one. And
yes, exactly.
Bradley Cooper just absolutely murders the role. As you said, very some touching scenes in there. I definitely probably cried in the theater more than once because it's very hard, especially if you're an animal lover like us.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard not to. And yeah, I would agree with you, man. This is one of the stronger films of the year for sure, especially being like a Marvel film. This is Guardians is always, like you said, been one of those rare exceptions to that run of the mill comic book movie.
Because it's one that actually has like a real director's feel to it.
Yes,
it doesn't feel like it was just kind of mass produced
cookie
on
cutter.
the line.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of has the director's fingerprints on it, and it's those films have always been good. I know a lot of people kind of shit on the second one.
Yeah,
but I really love the second one, and has another pretty couple of poignant moments in it. The death of Yondu. So I was really looking forward to it. I was happy I got to see it. Like you said, it's a good send off for those characters that kind of go their separate ways at the end of it. And there's like a good, just not necessarily a tease at the end, but a good like post credit scene with Peter and his grandfather, where they're just like talking mundane like neighborhood shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really enjoyed that too. So that's one of my picks for one of the best films of the year.
I want to take it back to there's maybe like I want to say 3 big horror films on my list, and the first one that I want to talk about.
I probably saw all of them this week.
Oh, really?
Probably. We'll see.
Okay, we'll see if I disappoint you with this one. But I want to talk about Evil Dead Rise. Did you see this yet?
I did watch it, yes. I did enjoy it.
Okay.
It was actually just on earlier today when I got home from work when I was getting some stuff together. So I left it on for a little bit.
Okay. Well,
but this is your pick, so you talk about it.
Okay. All right. So I went to see this. I believe it was opening night. Both of us are big Evil Dead fans. And I think that they had a big shoes to fill with this, and I thought that they did a great job. It kind of made me nervous that they were changing it, changing the premise and taking it more so into the city. But I had a lot of fun. I think that all the makings of a great Evil Dead movie are within this. It's still like a very kind of tight runtime. A lot happens.
It's only like 90 minutes, 95 minutes. It's fairly short.
Yeah, it's a pretty fast ride. Pretty gruesome stuff. I liked all the
fucking cheese grater.
Yeah. Yeah. Or the 2 leads. Alyssa Sutherland, who plays Ellie, is great as the mom who turns into the Deadite and kind of kicks off the whole plot. She really sells the shit out of that for me. And then our final girl, who is, I believe her name is Lily Sullivan, is also very good. And, kind of stacks up against Mia, because I felt like Jane Levy is a hard act to follow, and and I was glad to see that they picked somebody who could do it, do this role justice. Very spooky. The makeup is great. I liked. I don't know how you feel about this, but the opening of the movie is maybe the most gruesome part for me.
When she gets scalped, basically.
Yeah, dude, and they show it.
Yeah,
but that's like
it's kind of it's. I mean, even the I guess you would say that was a remake, the Fede Alvarez one.
Yeah,
like a decade ago.
Even
that one kind of has like a pretty crazy cold open.
Yeah.
As does this one. That's very like detached from what actually happens, or from what the main plot of the film is, and it's only like kind of circles back at the very end.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of critics and people that saw this thought that was useless and that they were just trying to be gimmicky and take it back, find an excuse to take it back to the cabin. But it's like, well, did you see the end of the movie? Because they show you why that all happens. And to me, I thought that was a great open. You have to, these type of movies, you have to do that to set your audience, set the tone for your audience, right? And I thought that they did that so well, and they keep up that tension, and I felt like the family dynamic was there, and they do. It is fast, but I feel like you do get a sense of the bond that the family has, and so when they're kind of ripped apart, not, I don't mean like literally.
Although somewhat literally.
Yeah. I would like to think it affects us as viewers, and I thought this was a strong strong Evil Dead film to add to the list of them. And now I think Bruce Campbell came out recently saying that they plan on releasing new Evil Dead movies every 2 to 3 years, and that we won't have to wait as long for another one. So that's exciting.
Didn't he say they were kind of going to be more of like an anthology vibe to them instead of focusing on Ash or Mia or like the cabin?
Yeah, I believe
They
that
would be more like this.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'd be interested to see what they do. I mean, I've been very outspoken about how the 2013 movie kind of grew on me after a few viewings.
Yeah, I remember you were definitely not a fan at first, and I can see, I could see that, but I'm also glad that you never kind of completely turned your back on it and would give it, multiple viewings and finally came around. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was always like I'd grown up with, Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2. So the thing that I was really put off by the first time I watched the 2013 movie was the goofiness wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because that was always what I knew. And it was a lot more visceral and a lot darker. And that's why I was kind of like, ooh, I don't know. I'm not really into this. And then on the second watch, I was like, yeah, it's pretty solid. I just wish it wasn't like Evil Dead. And then after a couple more viewings, I was like, no, this is pretty fucking good, and the effects are practical. It's a solid fucking horror movie and a really good Evil Dead film. It's a lot more grounded and realistic.
So now that you're saying that, would you pick Rise or 2013 as a better movie?
Probably 2013.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah.
But I really did enjoy this one. Although it never ceases to amaze me, like when characters in horror movies find something that's absolutely creepy and that they should definitely not be fucking with.
Oh yeah, the little DJ.
And they're just
kid.
like, oh yeah, like
yeah. He's like,
this is fine. I'll put these records on and listen to this. It's like, do not do that. Do not fuck with that stuff.
Yeah.
When everything has, a dozen things surrounding it that says, don't open this shit. Don't mess with this. And the character's like, oh, it's fine.
In this one, it had teeth on the book and it like, it bit him or something or scratched him. It's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be touching that now.
But it's good, and I do agree that the two leads, that Willie Sullivan and Alyssa Sutherland, are very fucking good in it. Willie Sullivan, as you said, kind of has that Jane Levy thing going on with her, especially in the climax where they're covered in blood. There's the homage to The Shining in the elevator.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's just filling up with blood as they're trying to get down. There's the crazy scene where the characters are like, the family that are trapped inside the apartment are looking out after they kicked out the mom.
Yes.
Because she was possessed. And they're looking out the people, and you just see like all the violence and death that's happening in the hallway with the other neighbors.
Yeah.
The gore effects never cease to gross me out.
Oh,
what are the other horror films? Unless you have more to say about Evil Dead Rise.
No, I'm just
now I'm dying to know.
I'm just gonna say this real quick. Go check out Rise. I think it should be available on.
It should be on Max.
Yeah, it's on Max right now.
At least it was on HBO earlier when I came home.
Check that out. The other two is going back to A24. Talk to Me, of course.
Talk to Me was great.
Amazing. And then this one, I'm not sure if you would even have this platform to watch it, but the film I was kind of hyping up for you, When Evil Lurks. It's an Argentinian horror film.
No, but I have heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's nuts. And although, I guess they're both about possession in a way, so they're kind of related. But I know you asked me if it was better than Talk to Me. I don't know if it's better, but I think that it would be on a par. They're on a par with each other. And When Evil Lurks, the thing is that the whole story is based around your two male leads are making the worst decisions ever. So when you do see it, you're going to be like, God damn it. Like, what the fuck is wrong with them? But, there would be no story.
That's true. I mean, people being dumb or what moves horror movies along.
Yeah, or arrogant, or, they think that they don't want to believe in superstition or what have you, whatever it is, but people do dumb stuff in real life. So.
When Evil Lurks, where or what? You said I probably don't have the way to watch that just yet.
It's on.
How is that?
It's on AMC Plus.
Oh, okay.
Which is, I believe, AMC Plus also includes Shudder, so I think it is on Shudder. Technically, but if you have AMC Plus, you get all of those. You get that and Shudder, whatever. But that's how I was able to watch it when it came out. It did have a limited run. It was playing here in San Diego, but when I saw that it was playing, I had no idea what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I found out about it a couple days later, and I missed my opportunity, unfortunately, to see it on the big screen. That would have been a crazy experience, but nonetheless, watching it at home is great too. And there's some very scary things that happen that where they're breaking the rules as far as what's allowed in this genre, if that makes sense, without ruining anything. But this is no holds bar. Like, you're probably gonna cover your eyes. It's shocking. And nothing that's gonna be like you're gonna get mad at me and be like, why'd you make me watch that or anything, Nothing like a Serbian film or any shit like that. Don't worry. Don't worry. I don't mean it like that.
I haven't seen When Evil Lurks, but I do recommend Talk to Me. I went to see that on your recommendation and really enjoyed it. It was really creepy. Had no idea it was an Australian film.
Yeah.
And then I swore that the best friend in that movie was Lord the entire movie.
But it's not, right?
She looks just like her.
Yeah.
But it's got a really creepy vibe to it, especially like when they get possessed. When they shake the hand and then their eyes go black. But when the kid holds on a little too long and he's like thrashing around the room and smashing his head into like the coffee table, it's fucking brutal.
These guys, the brothers, the directors, I believe they're two brothers. This is their debut film for A24, and they knocked it out of the park. Definitely one of the best of the year, one of the creepiest of the year. Great visuals.
Has like a really good cold open.
Oh, yes.
Do want to shout out Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. I'm a big Mission Impossible fan, as you know.
Mm.
It was supposed to be a two-parter, and I don't know why they kind of abandoned the naming convention of it, because this was Dead Reckoning Part 1, but I guess the next one is not going to be Dead Reckoning Part 2. It's going to be called something else, even though it technically is going to be the Part 2. Now, while this doesn't end on a cliffhanger, per se, like it kind of has an open ending to it, because there's obviously more to the story.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering why they decided not to go with Part 2. Why they're going to call it something different. I think maybe it has something to do with the box office. It didn't do as well but it also came out a week before both Barbie and Oppenheimer opened. So I think it just got completely overshadowed by those two and didn't do as well as it should have.
Yeah, because it was kicked off of screens, right, to accommodate Oppenheimer.
Yeah, because it was IMAX. It was an IMAX, and then Oppenheimer came out a week later, so it got kicked off of the IMAX screens. So it's very, very weird. I don't know. I mean, a lot of times with big movies like this, they have their release date staked out before they even have a movie completed or a script written. So it's kind of weird that this movie was set to release a week before two huge movies were going to release.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering why they stuck with that. I'm wondering why Mission Impossible didn't move a couple weeks back, like to early July or maybe late June. Maybe they were trying to avoid the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I don't know, because those I think that movie came out around the end of June. So I don't know, but it was kind of weird that they dropped that name, and I think it had something to do with the box office. Regardless, the movie is still pretty fucking good. Everyone made a big shit deal about the motorcycle jump that he does.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, there's a car chase in Rome earlier in the movie that just completely blows that whole motorcycle jump out of the water. I mean, it's cool. It's awesome that he did it for real. But the car chase that happens is so fucking well done. And he's handcuffed to Haley Atwell. So there's a lot of jockeying, like trying to figure out how to drive and kind of whose arm needs to be where. It's very reminiscent of the James Bond movie, the Pierce Brosnan Bond film, Tomorrow Never Dies, where he and Michelle Yeoh are handcuffed together, and they're trying to drive a motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very reminiscent of that, and watching them kind of figure it out. You need to sit here, and I need to sit here. You need to drive. It's so well done. Shout out to Palm Clemente, who's great both in Mission Impossible and Guardians of the Galaxy. She's Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy. She's fantastic in this third one. But she's really fucking good in Mission Impossible, almost as a kind of a silent Terminator-esque hit woman. She doesn't have but like maybe one or two lines in the entire movie. And she's really good, like very relentless in Mission Impossible. And she's the one doing the chasing during the car chase. And she looks like she's fucking having the time of her life. She's got another pretty great fight scene in an alley with Tom Cruise. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was one of the best action films of the year, as they have been. The last few Mission Impossible movies. This one, unfortunately, is not as good as Fallout, in my opinion, which is, to me, like my favorite beyond the first one, and one I've recommended to you multiple times. But definitely give Dead Reckoning a watch, especially for that fucking killer car chase. And it's got the climax on the train is really fucking good too. So I know that the second part was supposed to come out next year, and then ended up getting bumped because of the writer strike, writer/actor strike. So I don't know what their release date is going to be, but I'm really excited to see the second part. And Haley Atwell is really fucking fun in the movie too.
This is one I haven't seen yet, but I need to. I'll check it out.
Dude, you gotta watch Fallout.
I know. I know.
All right, dude, what do you got?
I wanted to give a shout out to a little film called Eileen. which I think we talked about off air before.
Yeah, you recommended it to me. That's the Anne Hathaway one, right?
Yes,
Thomas and Mackenzie.
yes, and
Yeah.
who both of them are incredible in this. It's very like Hitchcockian style film. It looks like it was shot on film too. I don't know if it was or if that's like some kind of they altered it, but great story set in Massachusetts. I think it takes place in the 60s if I'm remembering correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's one of those films that kind of unravels, but it's a character study on Thomas and Mackenzie's character, the title character Eileen, who is comes from like a trauma-based family with her dad. Dad is an alcoholic, a recovering or not. I don't want to say recovering, an alcoholic, who is a former cop, whatever, which plays
Mm-hmm.
into the story. But Anne Hathaway, man, I'm not too big of on her body of work.
Anne Hathaway theater kid energy that Susie always talks about.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of see why some people wouldn't enjoy her.
Hey,
Go ahead.
hey, think what you will about Anne Hathaway. I will shout out Rachel getting married. She is phenomenal in that movie. Jonathan Demme movie. I think it's the second to last movie he made. She's really fucking good in it.
Okay.
I highly recommend that performance in that film if you haven't seen it.
I have not seen that, so I will check it out. But yeah, finishing my statement on Anne Hathaway, I'm not a big fan of her work, but in Eileen, she's very, very good in this. Sells the shit out of the role, and is not distracting whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain what it's about, but it's almost like Eileen, the character of Eileen, is like slowly falling for Anne Hathaway's character, who is like kind of subbing at this. So Eileen works at this like weird prison for kids
Mm-hmm.
in Massachusetts, and Anne Hathaway's character comes and is kind of overseeing how everything is ran or whatever, but she starts paying more and more attention to Eileen's character, and Eileen, obviously coming from some kind of trauma background, it starts kind of like subtly falling for her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the kind of story, there's like this pot boiler story of where things go, and it's in completely in a direction that you're never going to expect. Like there's great twists there, very noiry. So I think that you should check it out whenever it becomes available on streaming.
It's on my list, and I saw that trailer, thought the same thing you did, where it's got like a real Hitchcock vibe. I am into that, so I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with that one. Very sleeper hit, as you say.
That was another one that I missed that I wanted to see in the theater. I don't know if it was out for very long in the theater. Well, I told you I had to go to AMC to watch Silent Night.
Yes. Oh, you did see Silent Night.
I did finally go.
And?
I mean, it's not great,
Uh-huh.
but I was really excited to see a John Woo film. And a John Woo action film for the first time in 20 years, maybe even longer, since I wouldn't necessarily call Paycheck an action film.
True.
It's not great, and kind of like the premise wears thin after a while.
Yeah.
Because the whole premise is that there's not like any spoken dialogue in the film.
Yeah.
But while it works for some stuff, it's kind of like there's no way that, these characters would not communicate at all, like verbally. But it does have some pretty decent action scenes in it. There's a great one shot as Kinnaman fights his way up a staircase. Very reminiscent of like the scene in Hard Boiled where they're in the corridor, the hospital corridor.
Uh-huh.
So that scene was awesome. Kid Cudi's in it. Gets to do like the dual wield, like Chow Yun Fat at one point. So that was pretty awesome. Overall, it was whatever. But I was still excited to have seen it. I wouldn't recommend it per se. And I watched a much better Christmas action film later that evening, and that was Die Hard. When I told you last week that Joel and I went to go see it because they were playing it, I went to go watch that the night. I watched Silent Night during the day, and then went to go see Die Hard at night.
Did you see Silent Night alone or with Joel?
No, by myself. It was like middle of the day.
Oh.
And I just went. And there weren't a lot of people in the theater, but for some reason that didn't seem to get like a big release either.
Yeah, it was like a weird release, right?
Yeah. It was whatever. I mean, when it comes out on streaming somewhere, or if you have cable and it's on, like, check it out, I guess. And that's about the highest recommendation I can give for it. Check it out, I guess. But again, being like a big John Woo fan, it was just, oh, you know what? Even if this movie's not going to be great, like, I'm still excited to see a John Woo action film for the first time in almost 20 years.
Do you think would you have liked it more if it wasn't Joel Kinnaman? Or
I think I would have liked it more if there was actual dialogue in the film.
Okay, so you think that kind of hurt the...
Yeah, like I
story.
said, it gets to a point where you're really stretching the believability.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like these characters would have spoken to each other at some point in time throughout this film. It's kind of weird.
Do they text?
That they're not.
Do they text each other at least?
There's like a couple of scenes because like him and his wife are like estranged, where they text each other. But there's like no spoken dialogue, so that premise wears a bit thin.
How about John Wick Chapter 4? Did you get a chance?
I did watch that. Did enjoy it. Kind of like Killers of the Flower Moon. I was like, this kind of needs an edit. It's going on a bit long.
Uh-huh.
Especially because when you think back to the first one is pretty efficient, and it's like maybe 100 minutes tops.
Yeah.
And it seems like each of these movies have gotten longer and longer, and that's fine. And I like the second one, and I especially love the third one. But this one, I was kind of like, you can chop some stuff out of this. It's going on a bit long. But again, this is your movie that you picked, so I'll give you a chance to talk it up.
Well, like most of these movies, it has a crazy ensemble cast, including Donnie Yen, Bill Skarsgård.
Donnie Yen is great in the movie.
He rocks.
He's so good in it. And he's so fucking fun to watch.
He is, and pretty funny.
Yeah.
Bill Skarsgård has a pretty good villain. Lance Reddick, R.I.P.
R.I.P. Lance Reddick. And unfortunately, buys it pretty early on in the movie, too. As
with all of these movies, great choreography, very kind of tongue-in-cheek with the dialogue. It does go on a little long. You do have to donate a lot of time if you're going to watch this, because it is very, like, if you're going to say like you're watching Goodfellas or something, it's like that kind of commitment, feels like.
Yeah.
But it's well worth the trip, I thought. Great send off of an ending. I don't know. I had a lot of fun with it. Do you think that they should do more or leave it alone?
I think they should leave it alone. I mean, I was surprised that they did the fourth one and they didn't wrap it up with the third.
Yeah.
But it does have a lot of great action scenes in it. I won't deny that. Shout out to my man Hiroyuki Sanada, who runs the Tokyo Continental.
Yeah, I think it is Tokyo.
He rules. I've said it before on this show. I'll say it again. I think he's a super underrated actor. Always exciting when he pops up. Clancy Brown, the great Clancy Brown, who plays with. What would you say his role is? He's the one that's kind of laying out all the rules.
Yes.
He's got like one of the all-time great voices. He does a lot of voiceover work, especially for SpongeBob.
He's been in so much. He's also had a prominent role in the new Dexter New Blood. He's like a huge character in the new miniseries. I know you never got into that, so it doesn't mean anything, but he's very good in that.
Well, he's a good actor. It's always great when he pops up. He's in Highlander, of course. He's the villain in Highlander.
Yep.
He's awesome in that. So good in Shawshank Redemption as one of the prison guards. Yeah, he's good in it. The stuff in Tokyo is awesome. I really enjoyed the Lawrence of Arabia homage at the beginning.
Yes.
Of course, the homage to the Warriors.
Yes, that blew my mind. Like what?
So I really enjoyed that. Always loved seeing Lawrence Fishburne back. Like the battle up the staircase.
Yeah, it was
in Paris.
That was so bonkers.
And then that car chase is pretty wild when like after the Warriors homage, and then everyone in Paris is like chasing them. But really, like my favorite part of the movie is Donnie Yen.
Who is he's blind, right?
Yeah, I just think he's so good. And then wasn't he? He was blind in Rogue One too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's like his riff now. Like I'm gonna play blind badasses.
He's like, if I'm not It Man, then I'm blind.
I'll still fuck you up.
Oh, I'm glad you got to see that.
I did, yeah. I just it was one of my movies this week. Yeah, I'll tell you in a little bit like the order of the movies I watched this week. But it was like pretty wild. And Susie's like, you should watch Saltburn, and it was like, I have these 2 nights staked out for these movies. I have to go watch Ferrari. I'm going to try to like squeeze in at least one of these movies. And then because the show got bumped, it actually gave me a chance to see 2 more. One of which is on my list here, and we'll talk about maybe next. But yeah, the order of movies that I watched over the last 6 to 7 days is pretty nuts. But yeah, I made John Wick a priority because I knew that you and I would be talking about it. And while I did enjoy it, again, let me just say I did enjoy it very much. I just thought that, you know what, it's going on a bit long. It doesn't need to be nearly 3 hours. We talked about this at the top of the show. Let's talk about the 2 biggest films of the year that came out on the exact same day.
Okay.
Let's talk Oppenheimer first. Because this was a movie that it was 3 hours long, but one that I never felt dragged. It's pretty compelling all the way through. It's R-rated. It comes out in the middle of summer and makes a fucking killing at the box office. You know, we've talked about multiple times. We talked about it last week, even with Eyes Wide Shut. It's insane that movie came out in the middle of summer. That's a movie that nowadays would come out like in December. And even Oppenheimer coming out in the middle of summer, which I know is Christopher Nolan's, his July weekend that he loves. But it comes out in the middle of summer. It's R-rated. It's 3 hours long, and it makes almost $1 billion.
And so pretty impressive for again a film that has a pretty lengthy runtime.
Yeah, and every single show I ran of it was sold out. And because he had shot, on 70 millimeter IMAX, there was a big thing where this is the true way to see it, so it doesn't get as cropped. And there was this big rush for everyone to kind of see it in the venues that offer it in 70 millimeter IMAX, which isn't a whole lot, especially in the United States. I think all those shows were sold out. I think people were selling their tickets to those 70 millimeter IMAX screenings for like $1,000. Which, as much as I would have loved to have seen it in 70 millimeter IMAX, I would have never paid $1,000. Some people have too much fucking money on their hands. I mean, Cillian Murphy is fantastic. I am going to call my shot and say he's probably going to win Best Actor. I could be wrong. I don't know what his competition is, or who would be a solid competition for him. Emily Blunt is very good, even though I think she really only has like one killer scene in the movie.
What about Florence Pugh? She's good.
Florence Pugh is good, who's in it just briefly. Who's really good in the movie, surprisingly, after like so many years of really not being up to much, is Josh Hartnett.
Yeah. It's great to see him coming back as well.
Well, I think it was cool that he got to work with Nolan, because he was one of the guys that was up for Batman all those years ago. So it was kind of awesome that they kind of circled back to one another, and he's in Oppenheimer, and he's really good. Benny Safdie, who apparently is more of an actor these days. I keep waiting for them to like make another flick. And I'm like, oh, this guy is like, he can't make another movie. He's too busy doing acting jobs. Like Rami Malek, who's like kind of just a background character until the very end. God, Jason Clarke is awesome as the guy who's in that, not the courtroom setting, but in that hearing. He's the attorney trying to revoke his security clearance. But just a stacked cast. It's fucking awesome. The practical effects, especially the explosion, the nuclear explosion. And I said it to you after I saw the movie, and I'll say it again now. I don't think that there is a better sequence as there is during the run-up to the Trinity test. It's like super tense. And it's like everyone's doing their job. You got the score. You got the tension as to whether or not they're going to be able to pull off the test because of the weather. I think that whole 7-8 minute sequence is incredible. And then that's like the end of the second act is the Trinity test, and then there's like the whole last hour of the movie deals with his security clearance and deals with Downey's confirmation hearing. And it's, you'd think that would be boring, but it's just as fucking tense as the run up to the atomic bomb.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. Is the aftermath is just as appealing as that for the first half of the film.
Yeah. And then I like how that scene with Einstein by the lake, you see it multiple times throughout the film, but you don't know really what was going on until the very end.
Yeah.
You don't really know what was said between them until the very end. And that plays very much into, Downey's Downey's headspace about, he turned the scientist against me. He turned Einstein against me, but it had nothing to do with him. So I think that's probably going to be up for a ton of awards come award season. I know there's been like backlash to the movie already. It seems like when there's a movie that's big and does a lot of business and is a huge hit and it's kind of an awards front runner, all of a sudden there seems to be like huge backlash to it.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's a fucking really good movie. Now let's talk about the other big film of the year, which came out on the exact same day, and that's Barbie.
Yes.
Which I fucking loved as well. It's so fun. Margot Robbie is so great in it. If there's justice in the world, she'll get recognized come award season because she's so fucking good in the movie. And shout out to Greta Gerwig, who's just a fun actor turned filmmaker. I used to love it when she would pop up in movies. And even when I watched some of the movies that she made before she pivoted into directing, she's so good in them. And I'm really stoked that she's had a very successful directing career. This one especially, which, if I'm not mistaken, was Warner Brothers' biggest hit ever.
I believe so.
That doesn't take into account inflation, which I'm going to stay pretty steadfast on, is The Exorcist. I think is their biggest movie ever. But apparently Barbie is their biggest hit dollar-wise. Period. Makes $1.4 billion. I don't know what it made in the States. I know it's the most successful movie of the year. Hands down. $636.2 million in the United States. So, pretty big movie. This was the second of 3 movies that I fucking laughed my ass off through. There's the line about how all of a sudden she cared so much about the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League that fucking died. And then the smash cut into the Depression Barbie commercial.
Yeah.
Fucking killed me. I laughed so fucking hard at that. And it's a fun movie. Both her and Gosling are so fun to watch. Another movie like Oppenheimer, which has just a murderer's row of supporting performances in it. Big shout out to America Ferrera, who has that incredible monologue about what it means to be a woman.
Oh yeah.
How you have to be nice but not too nice because this, and you have to be this but not too this. She's great in the movie as well. But Issa Rae, Kate McKinnon as fucking weird Barbie. It was really fucking funny. I like the Helen Mirren's narration. Is really funny. It has some good lines and some good meta observations in it. Especially when she's talking about like Barbie being plain or something. It's like, note to the producers, you don't cast Margot Robbie in this role if you're looking for someone to be plain. Who else? Michael Cera is great in it.
Issa Rae.
Yeah, Issa Rae is the president. Simu Liu, who's like he's not like the evil Ken, but he's like Gosling's rival.
Yeah.
Who's so fucking funny in it. Both Gosling and like Simu Liu, but Simu Liu is especially in those scenes. But yeah, Gosling is great. Again, he's a super underrated comedic actor. I mean, you had mentioned that you guys revisited The Nice Guys. We mentioned The Nice Guys last week when we talked, Christmas movies. I think his performance in The Nice Guys is one of the best comedic performances of the last decade or two.
Yeah.
And he doesn't disappoint here either.
Yeah, he is completely unhinged in Barbie. He goes for it. 100%.
And I love when, Robbie does it too. I love that they both just kind of commit 100%.
Yes.
And it shows. And it's so fun. So I highly recommend Barbie. It's got so many fun jokes. That's another movie that I really want to sit down and rewatch because I just had such a fucking good time watching it the first time, and I want to go back and like catch like jokes and lines that I may have missed because I was laughing so fucking hard at some of the other stuff.
Yeah, I've only seen this once in the theater, and I think I do need to revisit it as well.
Going back to the whole thing where the both movies got released on the same day, I think it's really amazing that both of these films came out, probably had maybe different overall demographics that they might have been courting, but both of these movies were huge hits, had a huge opening weekend, and honestly, like I think helped each other's box office because people were trying to see both in the same weekend, or even in the same day.
Yeah,
And I would be really interested to know if these movies came out on different weekends, how well they would have done. I mean, I'm sure they would have done big business regardless, but I'm wondering if each's box office was kind of pumped up by people trying to do the double bill. But that was awesome that the two biggest movies of the year came out on the exact same day. I don't think it's something that's going to be replicated for a while. I think it was just like the right time, the right magic. Both movies coming out that same weekend because that was, that's Christopher Nolan's weekend, and Barbie had staked out that weekend as well. And I think there was kind of a face-off as to, is someone going to move because this movie's going to be huge? And neither one of them budged, and they both made out like bandits in the end.
yeah. I was sweating for Oppenheimer at first because I was like,
Is it buried?
Yeah, yeah, because it's so long and depressing. The subject matter is somewhat not melancholy, I guess you would say, and but no, even it was a little slower in the race, where Barbie is obviously appealing to way more mass audiences, but it's still cleared so much money, was hugely profitable in the end.
I mean, Barbie makes overall worldwide, I think, about $500 million more than Oppenheimer, but still, Oppenheimer made almost $1 billion. That's pretty crazy.
And it's like a 3-hour,
excuse me,
3+ hour rated R biopic.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, every single show that I worked for that was sold out.
Yeah. I wanted to shout out the creator, which I missed in the theater, and I'm kicking myself over that because it is a gorgeously shot film. Not to say that it doesn't have flaws, because it does.
It does, but it, like, again, I did get to see it in the theater. I put my foot down at one point. I'll tell you this in a moment after I let you talk, because I keep interrupting you and I feel bad about that.
It's okay, don't
worry.
worry.
I did see it in the theater on the big screen, and it looked incredible.
I'm envious, but it's okay because I got to watch it on. Right now it's on Hulu. Got to check it out on a pretty decent sized screen at home, and I loved it. It's a very simplistic story, but if you like that kind of dystopian cyberpunk, Neil Blomkamp kind of style-esque, I guess that this is probably going to be your jam if you haven't seen it. John David Washington is very good. The effects are pretty stellar in it, in my opinion.
The effects are great. Yeah.
Yeah. I did have some issues with again, going back to characters' choices and things and logic. It lacks some decision making. There's no, there's a sense of no logic in some of the things that happen within the movie that will probably make you mad a little bit. But overall, I thought it was good, and I had a lot of fun with it. I thought the the little girl was great.
Yes.
Yeah, she's awesome. What do you think about
I liked it a lot too. Again, it does have its number of flaws to it, but I agreed on John David Washington. I think he's very good in it. I think again the effects are incredible. The cinematography, it looked amazing on the big screen. I wanted to see Gareth Edwards succeed, because it's kind of a bummer that Rogue One, while he retains the director's credit, is not really his movie totally.
it? Yeah.
So I wanted to see him succeed. You know me in sci-fi, I'm always in the tank for some good sci-fi, especially original sci-fi. So this was something that I was really excited to see. Shout out to Ken Watanabe, who's very good in it. Allison Janney, who's a great villain.
Yeah, she's fucking awesome.
It's a pretty solid movie, I think, and I wanted to see it, and was so busy over the fall because I was doing multiple jobs at work, and I kept having to babysit like a work crew, and they would always work like late into the evening, and they weren't supposed to work late one night. And then I got asked, hey, can you stay? They want to work late. And I was like, look, man, I've been trying to watch this movie for fucking weeks. I just want to go and see this movie. This is the only time I'm going to get a chance this week. Tell them they need to be gone by this time. And then I'll work, until midnight every other night. I just want to see this movie. Tell them to leave at 7 p.m. so I can make like a 7:30 show. Please. So they got the work crew to like bail at like 7 p.m. so I could go to like the 7:30 show. And it was out for like 2 or 3 weeks. I kept missing this movie. I was really upset. Every single chance I had to watch it kept getting blown up for one reason or another.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, look, I just want to watch this movie. Like, let me have this one night, and then the work crew can stay however fucking long they need to all the other nights. I'll be here with them however long. So I ended up getting my wish. I ended up going to see it. No one in the theater, which, I love. It was also like a weird, like Monday night. The place was like a ghost town. It was crazy. Someone was there when I walked in, but when the movie was over and I walked out, like it looked like none of the theaters were open anymore. I don't even think there was staff in the building. Like they had forgotten about this movie was still running. It was really weird and eerie. But I got a chance to see it, and I was excited. And it was like, hey, you know what? It's flawed, but I got to see big original sci-fi on the big screen. I'm happy.
And that first 10 minutes is great.
Mm-hmm.
That the opening, at least for me, like with what happens when it's revealed that he's like an undercover,
mm-hmm.
and his wife is like, no, fuck you, and leaves him, and then
the great Gemma Chan.
Yes,
I was going to say very good movie, very good supporting performance from Sturgill Simpson. There's a country guy who, shout out, he's also very good in The Killers of the Flower Moon.
That's right, he is in that, huh?
Yep. Yeah, Joel was like, oh yeah, Sturgill Simpson's in The Killers of the Flower Moon. That's awesome. I was like, yo, he's in The Creator, and he's got a arc in the third season of The Righteous Gemstones. He was like popping all over the place this fall. And he's a pretty fucking solid actor.
I just wished that The Creator was a tad less predictable.
Yeah, it does very much play in the cliches.
Not always, but especially like the conclusion and everything that had how everything's resolved. And not to say that you don't feel like fulfilled at least on some level, but I just felt like there was room for some improvement. But the aesthetic of it is, as we said when we started talking about this film, is beautiful, and I would I would like to see another story take place in this universe and have it be R.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know this was PG-13, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but if it was an R, it'd be a bit more Neil Blomkamp.
Yes. They do push the envelope. I'll give them that with this one. They do. They do some pretty gnarly stuff. They get away with it a little bit. But check this out. It's on Hulu right now. Definitely worth a watch. And I'll throw it back onto you.
Just saw it yesterday. I mean, it just came out, so I know that you haven't seen it, but I highly recommend it. Was Poor Things with Emma Stone, Yorgos Lanthimos' newest film. It's kind of a weird, like Victorian age, only a lot more fantastical.
Okay.
Kind of plays like a weird, fucked up version of Frankenstein. But Emma Stone is phenomenal in this, playing this creation that kind of discovers who she is and her sexuality and what it means to be human, what it means to be a woman. Really enjoyed it. For some reason, it's like one of those movies, like Bones and All was last year, where as soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, I'm 100% in. I'm down with this movie. It seems like it's going to be great. Even though it might not seem like a movie that I would be excited for normally. But the trailer really sold me on it, and I went to go watch it yesterday and had a fucking blast with it. It's also the third movie I've seen this year that has laugh out loud funny moments in it. Some of the dialogue is fucking hilarious. And I saw this in a theater with actual people, and a lot of other people were laughing their asses off too. So you can tell our mutual friend who said it's not as funny that everyone in the theater that I was watching this movie with was laughing at the same time. But it's also got it's got a good supporting cast. Willem Dafoe is awesome. He's kind of the Dr. Frankenstein. Mark Ruffalo is really fucking funny in it. Kind of playing the cad, only he's not that bright. And Gerard Carmichael and Rami Youssef, both really good in their roles. And I wish I knew her name. One of the actors in it has so many great like deadpan lines in her few scenes. I was laughing so fucking hard. And again, shout out Emma Stone is great. Her physicality in the film and the way she acts, because she's kind of learning, her way around the world and the way around herself throughout the entire film, and kind of goes from being almost like childlike, but then becomes extremely articulate by the film's end. She's so good in the movie. I wasn't expecting to like this movie as much as I did, and had a really good time with it.
Would you recommend me going to see this on the big screen?
Absolutely. It's at Hillcrest. That's where I went to go watch it. It's I know it's opened wide on Christmas, but it was playing on Hillcrest's big screen, and that's where I saw it yesterday.
So I wanted to talk about a film that we've kind of referenced already on the show a little bit, but The Iron Claw.
Yes.
I got to go see it. Went to see it at Grossmont. And it did not disappoint, man. It is a fucking great movie. And as I said in I did a write-up on Letterboxd, and I said pretty much in so many words that, like, this movie is shot in a way that it doesn't matter if you are in love with wrestling or not. It is transcendent of that, and it is more so about this family and this so-called curse that they supposedly went through, right? And the performances completely outshine any bias that you might have against the, wrestling as a sport. So I can't recommend this enough. Like, wrestling fan or not, go see it. Zac Efron, he I don't think he's really had a chance to show so much like his real acting chops, and in this he proved like that he's more than just his good looks or whatever people are initially attracted to him for, but he really pulls out a gripping performance, as this story is very much centered around his character.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Allen White, always great, and this is no exception. He's absolutely phenomenal. Still scenes left and right in this. Everybody. Holt as the father is incredible. Like, I'm sure you're gonna be mesmerized when you go check it out and you see him do his thing.
Underrated actor, man. Underrated actor.
He is. But yeah, A24 pulled out another banger, and I'm so excited that they're not afraid to take big swings like this, and they're elevating, like I said, in me and Ryan's past lives episode, that they're now elevating other genre rather than just horror, and they're dipping their feet into other things, and with just no remorse whatsoever, and they're killing it, dude. And this is a great example of that. Go check it out. It should be playing. It's open wide recently.
Yeah, just before Christmas, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as we've talked about before, I'm not like a wrestling fan, so I was like, this is probably not a priority for me, as Ferrari or Poor Things was. But I still would like to see it. And given your recommendation and my friend Jorge, shout out Jorge, I will go watch it most likely next week.
When you do, just make sure, throw me a text and let me know what you think.
For sure. I did want to ask, like, is something's going on with his face in the movie, right? That's not like his normal face, is it?
Who?
Or is it just because he's all hulked out?
Efron?
Yeah. His face looks kind of weird.
So, I don't know if you know this, but apparently he was in some kind of life-threatening accident where he fell and broke his jaw, and had to have some kind of reconstructive surgery, which changed the structure of his face forever. And so that might be what you're seeing, is like he doesn't look like himself all the way. And then, of course, yeah, he is yoked way more than any of the guys in that film. He looks like he's gonna burst. He looks good, don't get me wrong, but he's like, that's the biggest I've ever seen Efron. But as far as his face, that might be what you're seing.
Okay, I didn't know if that was some prosthetic work or just because he was all big for the movie. But seeing that trailer, I was like, oh, he kind of looks a little weird.
Yeah, it might have been the surgery that he had.
Okay. Even seeing like the interviews and everything when they're talking about this movie, it doesn't look that bad. So I'm wondering if he has a little bit of prosthetic work going on.
Yeah, maybe.
Shout out to Zac Efron in The Disaster Artist, where he's like the super intense like actor playing the drug dealer. He's so fucking funny in like the one scene. I think technically two, because you see him at the premiere, but just like the one scene where he's the drug dealer when they're filming.
He's just like way over intense.
Yeah, like he dialed it up like all the way to 15. But yeah, I'll definitely give you a shout when I check it out.
Oh yeah.
Or give you heads up and let you know what I thought. So I'll try next week.
Did you want me to do my what's the
Your
word?
honorable mention?
Honorable mention, yes.
Yeah, dude, go for it.
Because I'm kind of mad at them. That's why they're getting the honorable mention. I'm going to point that out right now before I say what it is, but it is the Scream 6.
Okay. I did see Scream 6.
What did you think?
I liked it. I think I liked it better than 5.
Okay.
It had some more interesting stuff going on. While I did like it a little bit better than 5, I think for the most part, at some point in time, I'm like, someone's getting stabbed like 20 times and they're going to be alive still.
Oh, like Chad?
Yeah. I'm like, that guy's probably dead. Even Courtney Cox, when Gale Weathers gets attacked.
She
she would probably be dead too.
That's also, you have to give it up to her, man. I think that's might be like the best interaction that she's had with a Ghostface her whole run.
Yeah.
That is a great fucking standoff.
It's a good pretty tense scene.
And they just annihilate her boyfriend like nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? Great opening. Shout out Samara Weaving.
Yeah. Going back and working with the Radio Silence guys.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ready or Not, another film that you and I both loved and had on our best of 2019 list.
Absolutely.
So fucking fun. Shout out to Henry Czerny, who's also in Ready or Not, who plays the therapist.
Yeah.
And who gets killed pretty brutally.
Yeah.
Shout out to him because he's in Mission Impossible as well.
Oh, nice.
Bringing it back because he's in the original film, and he pops up again in the latest one. Another underrated actor.
He was he's pretty funny in that opening. One of the early scenes where he's having a session with Sam or Melissa Pereira, and he kind of tells her to open up about what happened in her past, and then she does, and he completely kind of bows out and was like, "Oh well, I'm not equipped for this." So, and he starts like almost like shaking, like convulsing because he's so scared.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah,
that's good. I like the climax in the theater.
Oh yeah,
they both Barrera and Ortega have some really great scenes in that climax.
Yeah, great chemistry. I like the I felt like Melissa Barrera really kind of came into her own and is a little bit stronger as an actor in this one.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, and then of course Tara or Jenna Ortega is very, very good, and they have great chemistry as sisters. I like a lot of the stuff that happens in the apartment. Some great key scenes there. Great reveal. I know a lot of people kind of shat on the reveal and thought it was boring. I didn't think it was boring at all. They got me. I did not see that coming. I don't know how you feel about it.
No, did not.
I didn't mind it being set in New York. At first, I thought I was hoping it wasn't going to come off as hokey, and it doesn't. It works.
Yeah. I think everyone was thinking of like Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, and
which I think they reference in the movie. I think they're playing it on a TV somewhere.
Yes, they are.
But I could be wrong. Okay, so that wasn't me.
No, yeah, they are. Oh yeah, shout out to Hayden Panettiere, who comes back as reprising her role as Kirby from Scream 4. She survived. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I wanted to have closure for, whether she was okay or not, and they finally fucking answered me. Years and years later,
they're like, this guy keeps fucking bugging us.
Yeah, okay.
What are we gonna do?
Yeah. That was cool. I loved like the whole kill box and the shrine that they had at the end. That was done well. But also I think like for the Carpenter sisters, dare I say, I don't know if I'm wrong here or not, but I felt like that was a cool uh, like closure and to their story. If they wanted to stop it there, they did a good job, right?
Well, they're gonna have to now.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to throw a shout out to Jasmine Savoy Brown, who is probably my favorite character of these new films.
Oh yeah, she's so good.
I think she's so great. She's so fucking funny. She was definitely my favorite part of this one. Just her scenes.
Yeah.
You know, she explains, you know, the whole requel thing in 5, and then she's explaining, and you know, the whole premise thing again in this one, and how like legacy characters aren't safe and all that, and just she's got some really good lines. And for some reason, just when they're in the apartment, and when they're in the apartment, and the reveal of, you know, she's in there, and like the Ghostface killer comes through the door,
Mm-hmm.
and there's that like she's like, oh fuck. just the line reading that she gives there made me laugh.
I like what she's telling them. She's telling them in the park the new rules, and her girlfriend is like thinking that she's safe, and she's all, "No, honey, like you never trust the love interest." But she's so cold with how she delivers that line. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, she's really good. She's I think been my favorite part of the last two. Not to say that David Arquette isn't great in 5, because I think he's really good in that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But as far as the newer characters go, I'm surprised by how much I've enjoyed her on screen.
I was really scared that she wasn't going to make it in this one, and I was glad that she did.
Me too. Even if that's the last time we see her, because her story is connected to Barrera and Ortega. But I really liked her, and you know what? The convenience store scene.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Is really great. And I like, you know, when the Ghostface killer busts in and the guy's like, "Hey man, we got a problem here." Immediately gets stabbed like 20 times.
Yeah, just like in the gut. Like, what the fuck?
Like there's like no time wasted. He just gets fucking stabbed.
And the clerk with the shotgun just being careless.
Yep. And then getting blown away with his own shotgun.
He's all, no. That's another thing that some people had a problem with, is that he uses the shotgun, but it's like, yo, you come on, like it's got to use what you have at your disposal. That's exciting. That's mixing it up. You know, we don't. How many movies have we seen where they just stab? You know, and also the final killers, they use, maybe whether it is, maybe they're already revealed, but they use guns and shit. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility. People are so weird, huh? They like complain about anything.
People think they have ownership over whatever their movie is.
I guess so. Toxic fandom, right?
Toxic fandom, which don't they address in the 5th one?
Yes.
Exactly that.
Oh, I had a question for you. Did you watch to the end for 6? To the end of the credits?
Yes. Yeah, because Brown's got another last line.
Where she's like, not everything has to have a end a post-credit scene. Whatever, that's it. All right, man. What's your final one?
My final one was a movie that fucking surprised me, because it wasn't on my radar at all. And My friend Jorge at work, again, shout out to Jorge. He's my buddy. He watches movies all the time, so he and I talk flicks a lot.
Okay.
He recommended it to me. I went to go see it and was utterly blown away by how fucking good it was. And that is Godzilla -1, which had gotten together with some friends of mine just before Christmas, and they had just seen it. And we were in total agreement, like, how great was that movie? Not expecting it to be as good as it was. Not even expecting it to have the impact it did, because Godzilla's kind of secondary in the movie. What's really incredible about it is it's a really great drama, like a war drama, about like all the trauma of surviving World War II, of like the kind of post-war trauma in Japan at the time, and it deals a lot more with like PTSD and like survivor's guilt, and can someone come back from this horrible thing. And then, like, the Godzilla stuff just kind of happens, at certain points throughout the movie. And don't get me wrong, the Godzilla stuff is incredible. This movie has so many great moments in it that have zero to do with Godzilla. And I was completely captivated the entire time I watched it. The Godzilla stuff is great. The effects for Godzilla are incredible. Especially, there's a part where he's underwater and he's like chasing this boat. Looks so fucking real. The heat ray stuff looks incredible. The effects, like I said, are great. As someone who has seen maybe two of the American movies that they've made recently, could not sit through one of them at all. I think that was King of the Monsters. And the Godzilla vs. Kong, I just didn't give a flying fuck what was going on the entire time. Apparently the fans of those movies just want to see the two monsters fight, and like it doesn't really matter. Like, having a good story or good characters are secondary, but this movie really focuses on having that good story and having the good characters. And I cared so much more about what was going on in this film than I ever did through the 1.5 like American Godzilla movies that they've made in the last few years.
Yeah, because this one's a completely a different take, right?
This one is, straight from Japan. This is Toho Studios, the original studio that had Godzilla back in the 50s. This is a legit movie. So it's not American at all. It's a completely Japanese production.
Did you ever see Shin Godzilla from a couple years ago?
I did not, but I also heard that was very good too.
Yes.
My friends that were over at the house just before Christmas were talking that one up. But I highly recommend Godzilla -1. I saw it on a big screen, but I was disappointed it wasn't an IMAX.
Oh, okay.
I thought that it would be, but the new Miyazaki movie was, weirdly. But I highly recommend Godzilla -1. It was something that I wasn't expecting and probably wouldn't have seen if my friend Jorge hadn't have recommended it to me. And then when I saw him the next day or a couple days after that, he was like, "Dude, what'd you think of Godzilla?" And I was like, that was easily one of the best fucking movies I've seen all year. It's probably my number one. If not, it's like in the top 3 for sure. And speaking of the American movies, they destroy like whole fucking cities. And like you don't feel any of the impact at all. It's just CGI noise. But in this one, at some point, Godzilla uses the heat ray, annihilates the city, and you feel like you feel the death toll. You feel like the sorrow for all those people that were lost.
And this one, they Godzilla is like angry and vicious, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the opening of the film is fantastic.
Okay.
And there's some seriously dramatic scenes in it, one of which could easily be one of the best films or one of the best scenes of the year, drama-wise. So, again, cannot recommend Godzilla Minus One enough. What a fantastic film. My biggest surprise of the year. Possibly my favorite film of the year.
It is on the list.
Definitely go watch it. I heard that at least in Japan it was going to get like the black and white treatment.
Oh, okay, monochrome.
Yeah, so maybe that'll come to the States as well. I just know that Japan for sure was going to have it. Now that's your list, right?
That is my list.
Can I put you on the spot here?
Okay.
Can you give me a top 5 in no particular order?
Killers, Oppenheimer, The Iron Claw, Talk to Me, and I'll round it out with Priscilla. Can I ask you the same question?
Godzilla, Poor Things, Barbie, Oppenheimer. Hot take, The Killer. That's my top 5 in no particular order. So, what do you have to say to wrap this year-end special?
Well, if you're listening to this and you made it to the end, thank you for all of the endless support from all our listeners. It's been a great year. We're still, kind of staying strong with the consistency and pumping out as much content as we can. I'm still loving doing this and putting it together, although, my job kicks my ass and I still find the energy to put this all together. So I just wanted to say thank you to Chris and of course Ryan, who joins me weekly, whereas Chris jumps on once a month. I appreciate both of you guys' time and your belief in the show. It's great.
Awesome. Well, absolutely love doing it. And, I always thank you for giving me an outlet. We do have a 2024 docket.
That is right. And it is, we're still working out of a couple kinks here, but I can, rest assured everybody that our list is very, very good. Lots of fun stuff coming down the pipe here.
Should I preview it?
Yes.
I don't know. We haven't decided on a monthly order besides, an obvious Halloween spot and an obvious Christmas spot. We will obviously have our 3rd annual Summer of Sci-Fi. We have what I think is one of the best sci-fi films of the last 20 years. We have a huge, huge, huge blockbuster sci-fi movie. It's not Avatar because Avatar is shit. We have a great low-key sci-fi action film from one of the best action directors. Got some great crime dramas on there. Got a fantastic Western. What else, man? As we said before, we're going to be talking the Nolan movie, my absolute favorite Nolan movie. I can let your listeners can guess what that might be. I'm wondering if anyone actually guesses right. Got a really funny comedy. Have another really great, really lean action movie, one of the best of all time. And then one of my absolute favorite films of all time, a really great war film. So we got some good stuff coming. I hope that people will enjoy those episodes. Our Halloween episode is going to be one of the classic horror movies. And I'm really excited to talk about that. I was actually surprised when I asked you and you said that you hadn't covered this movie yet. So I'm excited to talk about it because I think it's one of the best of all time.
Everybody go check out everything we talked about on the show because they're all gems. So check them out. Support them. Go to the movies. Support physical media.
Absolutely. Absolutely, or else they're going to stop making it.
This is Wesley Swanson and Chris Pawlak signing off. And good fight. And good night.
And Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year. Be safe, everyone.
Yeah.